Welcome. One of the part of Toastmaster, of being a Toastmaster, is that we want to have feedbacks. We want to improve, and giving the feedbacks is something that we all need. But when you give a feedback, you evaluate a speech, a table topics, a meeting. You evaluate. How? Bart and Scott will give us some theory today, and then we put it in practice. Bart, please lead us to learn.
Yes, thank you for this introduction, Milena. Well, welcome everybody. It's nice to watch that so many people are interested in this subject. Well, first of all, I will start with giving a presentation of 1 hour, and the title is Evaluate to Motivate. And as Shashida already mentioned in the beginning, criticism is like rain. It should be gentle enough to nourish a man's growth without destroying it. And this says everything. Feedback is so an essential part. It is part of our whole life. It's not only within Toastmasters that we are going to use this, but also at work or when you want to let the child grow. I remember when my parents were giving feedback on the things that I did, it destroyed me completely when I was a kid. It didn't help at all. So I decided at that moment that telling them everything would not be the best because they destroyed it. So, well, but I learned from this, and I made a tremendous growth, and also Toastmasters helped me to make a lot of growth, not only by giving the presentations, but also doing evaluations. At first, when I started to, prepare myself for this event, I thought that 2-3 minutes time, how is it possible to talk about it in 1 hour? I felt, oh my God, it is not in balance. But when I take a look at what the effect is, I realized that it is a very important part, and that there is a lot of to talk about. Well, within Toastmasters, we help the people to let them grow. And the only thing to let the other people grow is by giving them constructive evaluations. Today, I will give you some more insight about what to take care of during evaluation moments. I will start with the first slide. How does it work? Okay, like this. So at first, I will start with why evaluations, what the evaluator's role is, what the evaluation means. It is feedback, the goal of evaluation, and what is necessary for evaluation, and what is an effective evaluation, what is needed for that. It's a pity that you cannot see the whole picture because, it was a lion which was mentioning that he was thinking about quitting, but when he saw who was watching, he decided to stay. So that's what also is the effect of evaluations. Well, there are 5 parts which is important for evaluations. The first one is the Toastmaster reason, grow. Then it's the diamond principle. Then speech progress. And then out of your comfort zone, and a better listener, the more critical you will get. The Toastmaster reason that we all joined is to start growing. I remember when the first time that I stood on stage within Toastmasters, I was shaking like hell. But I believed that this club could give me a good opportunity to learn and to get more confidence in doing presentations. Because when I was a kid, like 15 years old, I was really bad in presentations. But I thought I still liked it. It was something that I turned to want to become good in. And within Toastmasters, it was not only that doing the presentations gave me the growth, but also doing the evaluations. But I realized that my mindset was an important part for it. I had to have a growth mindset and not a fixed mindset. In my earlier years, I've only had black or white within my mind. It was good or it was bad. I failed or I succeeded, and there was nothing between. But it means that you're not really open for making small steps to create for yourself a way up to become better. I was very critical of myself. But after a while, also when I take a look at people who made a tremendous growth, I saw that they had something else. And that was the growth mindset. They learn. They don't see a failure as a really bad thing. I worked myself in the sales, and I remember one quote from the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't remember the movie anymore. It was about that he was making a lot of money. Well, he said that how much times you will get a no, how quicker you how do you say it? Shit. Hoe vaker een nee, hoe dichter je bij de ja komt. So how many more times you will get a no, how quicker you will get to a yes. So that's the mindset that I have. And evaluations helps the people to let them grow with the presentations. But it is important to have a mindset which is open for growth. What is also good to realize is the diamond principle. When you just start to look at the diamond, it's not there. It has to be polished, rubbished. It has to be, there has to be a lot of done to let the diamond come on the surface. So this picture states it really well. It's just a piece of coal, but it gained a lot of pressure, and then the diamond comes. And we, within the evaluations, are trying to get the diamond out of the person who is giving the presentation. And it is also very important to realize that. Important is that during the Toastmaster program, we have a lot of assignments that has to be done. And the reason for this is that it's building up to get progress in your speeches. And with this picture, I just wanted to explain that it's not the only thing that you do by yourself, but we do it together within Toastmasters. And that's a nice thing, that we learn from each other. And also within the evaluations, just by doing the evaluations, you also become more critical, and you will give some more tips to the persons where they can really do something with. As you look at the people in the sporting world, they are having coaches around them, and they only look at them and tell them where they can see the growth and what they still do really good. And that is also within our evaluations. It's important to realize that. What also a very important part is that you have to get out of your comfort zone. The more critical or not critical, the more precise you will give the feedback during the evaluation, the more you will let the other person go out of his comfort zone. And I remember when I was doing firstly the presentations, and still there is, you first go through a fear zone, then you have the learning zone, and then you have the growth zone. And this circle gives a good explanation of how we should build up the evaluations, so that it will not help to get them and stay them in the fear, but building it up that they can learn from it and that they eventually can grow from it. Well, it is also an important part to become a better listener, because then you become also more critical. When I was firstly involved with giving evaluations, I thought, where do I have to look at? What should I write down? I was not really aware, but I just tried. And when you do it many more times and you get to listen really well, you become more precise. And that helps the diamond in the person to come. It is also with, if you are a manager, for instance, within a company, if you want to give feedback to the persons within your team that they are going to grow, it is very important to give them precise feedback, and not in a way that it destroys the people because otherwise your team will be gone or they will complain at the director. But if you do it in a very polite way, but giving it feedback that they, of course, don't feel comfortable, but they recognize it, they are feeling to get more confidence and see that they will make the steps. And that's also an important part within the evaluations that we are giving. And these evaluations is not during or after the presentation, I mean, but every time when a person is giving the evaluation or the presentation, we all have the possibility to give some feedback. And how much the people will give this, the more the person will have the possibility to grow and to recognize the things and to do something with it so that he will come out of his comfort zone. Because there is also a word for it, that if you do what you did, you will receive what you got. Then we're talking about the evaluator's role. It should be honest and it should be constructive, and it should mention the personal efforts. Oh. Wait. Yeah, I was a little bit, okay, just a minute. The person who made the presentation took so much time to prepare it. So he deserves a good evaluation. And your evaluation is from you and not from another person. It should not be general. It is an opinion of you. And it is not that you should be too negative or too general, because then it will not help the person. It could even mean that we're going to lose the people within Toastmasters, and that would not be nice at all. So, but it should be honest, because we all together have a reason that we're joining Toastmasters and want to do the presentations and are open for the feedback that we got. If it's honest, constructive, and it does something with our personal efforts, and not criticize on the person itself or things that he cannot do about. Maybe if somebody's sitting in a wheelchair, you cannot say anything about the wheelchair because he's not possible to change that. So that's also a very good thing to realize. So evaluation is feedback. And as I mentioned before, it is essential for growth. Without evaluation, it is very hard to grow. And what I always find very nice when I did a presentation and I received all the feedback, that you always see a line of the things that the people are mentioning. Sometimes you see a little bit different things, but mostly it is in line. So that is the thing that I decide then mostly to take care of and try to change it for the next time. But sometimes I can be stubborn as well and want to stay in a comfort zone. But it is always good to push yourself to go out of it. And I think that the Toastmaster area is a very nice and good environment to just do it, because you have nothing to lose. That's always what I realize within Toastmasters. That's a nice thing. Even when it's not always nice to receive it, I see that it can help me. And the nice thing is within Toastmasters, you are deciding how far you want to grow with it. There are possibilities to do it on international level, but if you want to stay local, it's possible. It's also important to realize that it can do something with your self-confidence. It's like the criticism like rain. It could nourish a gentleman's growth without destroying it, what is mentioned before. It can help you to get your self-confidence, but it can also destroy this self-confidence, depending on how the evaluation is given. So now we're talking about the goal of the evaluation. And the goal, of course, is that every time when a speech is delivered, we will present an evaluation. Oh, wait. And it is also important, maybe everybody or some person knows Mark Lammers. Mark Lammers is a hockey coach from the Netherlands. He always says that feedback is not existing anymore. It is feed forward. And I like this kind of description. And we're also talking about a glass half full. And every time evaluating and improving turns into growth. And feedback instead of criticism. First of all, the speech delivered. Well, when you've done a speech regarding the manual that you got, you want to have an evaluation. And we as an evaluator will give this. And it is important to realize that it's necessary for the person to let them grow. As stated by Mark Lammers, he said, feed forward. Because you cannot do anything about the past. The past is gone. The only thing that you can do is change this. So he calls it feed forward. And actually, when I think, it is more positive also, feedback. If you're working and the manager is going, oh, well, I'm going to give you feedback. Okay, then sometimes you get a little bit more sweaty. Don't know what he's going to talk about. Mostly it's critical. Feed forward. I like the word. Also, during the evaluations, it is important to tell it in a way that the glass is not half empty. So not destroying his roots, but half full. That it's given in the way that it helps to let them grow. And every time evaluating turns into growth. And sometimes the growth can be an ugly process. But after a while, it can turn into a beautiful victory. And that's what we try to reach with giving an evaluation. That the person will in the end shine like a diamond. And of course, it is his own responsibility to do something with the feedback. But the more we will give feedback and evaluations, the more the person has the opportunity to look within himself and to find the diamond. Well, feedback is not criticism. Criticism is negative, and mostly then the person will not receive it. He will not be open for it. Or the next time, when you will be the evaluator again, you say, oh my God, there he goes again. And that should not be nice. I remember one of the Toastmaster evenings, and at that moment, a lot of evaluators were only giving very negative parts. There was more on that side than on the positive sides. And especially when just new people arrive, it's also important that we give them a good feeling that people are not punished in a certain way. Well, point 5, the necessary for evaluation. Preparation is key. Active listening, the use of the hamburger method, and to realize content. Content have the tone and voice, it's mentioned, but you will see it in the next slide. About preparation. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Well, during your moment that you will give your evaluation, before that you will have the chance to prepare it. You can take a look at what is a good evaluation on the points. We all have a kind of sheet received from Toastmaster community, and there is also mentioned where you can look at. And besides that, when the person is giving the presentation, you can ask in front what you should look at in particular, and what is the aim of the presentation. And maybe also you can ask, what was the previous feedback that you got? In this way, you are prepared. So not prepared to fail. Active listening. I hear many ladies complaining that their husbands are not really listening to them. Well, the nice thing is that when in Toastmasters, you have the opportunity to improve this. So it is not benefiting only for the person who will speak, but also within your relationship. It could help. Active listening means that you are also listening to the person in a way that you are open to hear all the things that he is saying, and not only by a kind of judgment or reaction that you already have. Be receptive and do not criticize too much. And also be aware of the things that you can't do anything about. So not what I told you before about somebody who is sitting in a wheelchair, or he has a big buckle on his face or something. Yes, the hamburgers. The burgers are always the answer. Within Toastmasters, we use the hamburger method. And well, I worked at the McDonald's when I was at a younger age, and I remember that every kind of bread and every kind of hamburger had the same size. It was built up in a way that every hamburger was exactly the same. What I sometimes notice when I receive the evaluations during such an evening, sometimes within it, the hamburger can be really, really big and the bread can be really small. It is also good to realize that the balance of this has to be made. In that way, the person will be more open to receive it and do something with it. If you just start directly with a negative point and then afterwards a positive thing, then the person will not like it at all, because it will remind him every time at the first part. But when you do it like the hamburger method, which is a thing that is used within Toastmasters, and they do it for a reason, that's for sure. The thing that is to improve tastes really good. So it will be more helpful and they will receive it more in a way that they will do something with it. Well, this is about the tone and the voice can have a really impact. Remember that you're only speaking for yourself, giving your own opinion. You're not speaking on behalf of the audience. Your opinions may differ from those of the rest of the audience. Avoid saying, we think, we believe, the audience would have, the audience didn't understand, in other words. You're speaking on behalf of others. Avoid personal statements that imply someone other than just giving the evaluation, or imply the evaluation is directed to someone other than the speaker. Do not say, they say, one must, people are, or make other vague references. Avoid judgments, words and phrases, such as good leaders don't. That was the wrong thing to say. If you want to do it right, you must. You did, and you were. Use the words that describe your own reactions to the speaker. I was impressed with. I was confused about. When I heard, and I think the speech purpose would have been clearer if, and I like it when, then it would be more helpful than doing it not. And don't repeat the point once you have made it. Repeating a point can sound like nagging. And avoid words like never and always. These exaggerations detract from your message. So, well, if you look at the picture, it gives him another feeling than he thought in the beginning. So this is the last part, and that's how to evaluate effectively. So what I told before is that it is important to prepare yourself before the speech and show that you are interested by active listening, and personalize your language, and realize that you're not evaluating the person but the speech, and promote self-esteem. Sometimes within the Toastmasters of Eindhoven, I'm responsible for receiving the new members. And there are a lot of people who already have a lot of fear just by going to Toastmasters, because they think always that it's important to be already good. So they start already with a very low self-esteem. And within Toastmasters, you have the possibility to grow in it. And for the evaluations to do it effectively, you listen to, see, hear, and feel. Seeing is about the gesture, the use of hands, the facial expression, the use of the space, and the contact with the public. Here is about the tone of voice. If somebody is talking hard or really soft, is it quick or is it slow? Is it on the same kind of level or is it vivid? Since some presentations, I become more vivid than I was in the past. And it gives another kind of feeling to the persons, because, well, the emotions are not there. I even recognized it when I was dating, for instance. If you become more vivid, the impact is more over there. And what you feel. And what you feel is, what did the speech did with you? And why did it did with you? And then the last part is the structure of the speech. In the first part, you talk about the purpose of the speech. What was the goal of the speech? In the body, you talk about the sandwich method. So you explain everything. And in the conclusion, you give them a kind of encouragement that he will do another presentation. So, well, this was my workshop. I hope you liked it and that it gives you some inside information about what to look at during evaluation and how you can create the impact on the person, his growth within Toastmasters. Thank you very much. And of course, if somebody has questions right now or want to share something, please do.
I have a question.
Yes.
Bart, okay, you were talking about this hamburger method. It was clear for me what you were talking about at McDonald's, that they're all the same. But what is exactly the method? It's not clear for me how you gonna do that structurally. Yeah. What is the
Okay.
hamburger exactly?
Yeah, the hamburger method is that you start with a positive thing which you saw during the presentation to start with. So, well, what I noticed is that you used good hand gestures, something like that. And in the middle, then you start with an improvement point. So it is a thing that you see from the presentation at that moment that he could improve. And it is your, huh?
So it's more the structure that you explained in the last
Yes,
slide.
yes, it is the structure. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But what I sometimes also see is that the middle part, so the improvement part, is 5 times more than the positive part. And
Oh, okay.
it's
Yeah.
also important to realize that it should be in a balance.
Okay, okay, then I understand what you mean. Yeah. Okay, dankjewel.
I have another question also. So you mentioned to please personalize your speech. Could you please give me some examples? Is it like give some of your own personal experience when you're delivering the feedback, or is it like personalized to the person specifically? Could you elaborate a bit more on how to personalize the discourse?
Well, what do you, can you repeat it again? Because I did not understand the question really well.
One of the notes on how to deliver the speech was personalize the wordings.
Yeah.
Could you please elaborate more on this, on how to personalize, or what would be your recommendations on personalization?
Yeah. Okay, that's a good question. What I said then is that it is important that you keep it by yourself. That you say, what I noticed is that this person, or that during the speech, then if you're talking in two general words, we saw that you're talking for the whole community that's sitting over there, then it will not have such an impact, because then your own opinion will be lost. That was the thing.
Yeah, much clearer. I interpreted a different way. Thank you.
Okay. So no more questions? Of course, during after the lunch, you have the possibility to practice it by yourself.
Sorry, but I ask one question. Please, can you provide more input about the difference between feed forward and feedback?
Okay. Well, there's not so much to say. It is more that you are aware that you cannot change something that was done in the past. You can, because it was in the past. So you can only look towards the future. You can only change what you're going to still, what you're going to meet, and not what you have met. But of course, you learn from the past. But I like more the word feed forward. That's it. Do you have more questions about it, or? Okay, well, thanks for everybody's time. I hope you learned from it, and Scott will go after my presentation more inside the content and give you some great tips. And well, good luck.
Thank you, Bart. Very vivid presentation. Can I ask everybody who is present to turn on the camera, please? I want to make a picture, if it's possible. Let's see if my computer also help me on that. Not too much, but let's see.